My name is Ram. I am the managing director of CCBA Designs. And Sudhir, thank you very much for inviting me over here. I just said hello to your father and your twin brother, Sudesh. It's so nice to see all of you after many, many years. So today I'm going to actually talk about a story of a man who's no more. I lost him about 9 months back to cancer. We both lived together for almost 32 years, and we ran a very successful architectural design practice in Pune. Now, this is the life of Professor Christopher Benninger, who was an American when he was born, and then eventually when he lived in India, he became an Indian. So Christopher was born in 1942 in a small place called Hamilton, Ohio, and then moved on to Gainesville, Florida, where his father was a professor of economics at the University of Florida. So he comes from a French lineage and a Czech background, and so when he grew up in this beautiful little town, university towns, he was influenced by many great thinkers back in those days. And then eventually, one fine day, his aunt gave him a book at the age of 16. And that book was called A Natural House. And he was 16, and as a Christmas gift, this was the book, the red one over here. He read it, and then he was reading it from the evening, and by the time he finished reading, it was 3 in the morning. And he went out of the house, saw the stars, and he decided, I'm going to be an architect. So that was the way a book has inspired him, changed him, and to find his passion. And architecture was his spirituality. And that spirituality brought him to India. So friends, what I'm going to talk to you about, the importance of influence. Here, book was an influence for him, and his gurus were an influence to him. As he walked through the life of a young man in America, he met many teachers, many great teachers, gurus. So friends, there can be nothing more better than having the best luck of having a great teacher. And Christopher was blessed to have fantastic teachers. His first teacher was Barbara Ward. Now, Barbara Ward is a very famous person when it comes to economics and in planning department. She was a teacher for him at Harvard University when he was studying at the Graduate School of Design. Later on, he was preparing for his PhD at MIT. So Barbara Ward was the one who introduced him to what was called poverty. She introduced him to what was called human settlements. At that time, his father was posted at Medellin, Colombia, in South America. So on a summer vacation, he went to Medellin, Colombia. He saw the favelas. The favelas are something like how we have the slums in Mumbai or in Pune. And he was very disturbed by the idea that how these cities are not able to provide what is called decent housing for the migrant people who would come to the cities in fetching their employment. Friends, understand, we all come to cities because cities are the place where we live our dreams. Cities allow us to live our dreams. So everybody should have an access to cities. But cities are not kind to everybody. Some make it, some don't make it, some remain in the periphery forever. So this particular idea of housing the poor, he took it as a thesis, he wrote the thesis, and Barbara Ward said that, go to India. And in 1968, he came to Ahmedabad and he met Doshi. He was at Sept University. He was teaching there for a couple of years. And then eventually he proposed, why don't we actually start a school of planning? That is how Christopher started the School of Planning in Ahmedabad Sept University, along with B.V. Doshi back in those days. So in 71, he started the School of Planning by putting a proposal to the Ford Foundation, which granted him. And then the Ford Foundation said that unless you leave the job at Harvard University as a professor, go back to Ahmedabad and run the course for 5 years, we won't be able to extend the funding. So that is how he landed up in Ahmedabad. And when he was in Ahmedabad, he started the course. Now, Ahmedabad is a very warm town. There are no drinks and there are no meat. So he said, I must go to a place which has cool weather, which has good daru and good food. When he was in Ahmedabad, one great thing happened. He met a person by the name Sanat Mehta was a Congress leader back in those days. And Christopher, when he was a young man, he proposed building in Jamnagar housing for like the mill workers over there. And in 1972, Indira Gandhi won after the Bangladesh war, and she won with thumping majority. Sanat Mehta became the Minister for Housing. Guess who became lucky? Christopher. So something which he did as a free work, it paid off, and then he landed up building his first project in Jamnagar, 40,000 houses for the mill workers. That became the pilot project for the Sites and Services project in Arumbakam. So in short, there's a very little known about the earlier work that Christopher did, which was actually real architecture. How do you house the marginalized communities? How do you house the poor people? When it comes to architecture, we always talk about like 25,000 square foot houses, luxurious bungalows, this and that. The real purpose of architecture is not to attend to the top 5% of the population of the country or the society. It is about solving the problems of the 95% of the problem, people who live in our society. And Christopher was on the forefront of this particular agenda, so he built many low-cost housings back in 70s and 80s, and that's all was done with CDSA, which is a campus in Bhutan in which he was operating from. Tejas, wherever you are, can you run?
What makes you love this country so unapologetic?
I think I love this country mainly because of the people and because of the different cultures which overlap and interact together. It's a place unique in the world. It's a place of freedom. It's a place of expression, creativity, and I think there's no place like India.
Okay, great. Sir, where did you get this cap?
You may not know, I'm not bald because I'm 81. I'm bald because I went to Tirupati.
Tirupati?
Yes, and I wanted to do a darshan at Tirupati for Balaji. And so I went there and my head was shaved. And then I thought, let me get this Himachal Pradesh cap to cover my taklu. And then this comes from Saurashtra. I spent my early life in Gujarat. In fact, I gave a lecture in Ahmedabad 2 days ago. And so this is a wonderful thing about India. You get something from the mountains, which is beautiful, something from Gujarat, and everything comes together. And in what we dress, we can all mix and match and dress as we like.
Amazing.
So friends, I showed you this little in a part of an interview just to introduce Christopher as a person who was so grounded, so much into India. He was more Indian than most of the Indians that I have come across, because he really believed that he was born in America, but India was his karma bhumi, and he very clearly believed that like he is part and parcel of India and its growth story also. You know, friends, he would say that like before you are a designer and you want to do a design of something, design yourself. It's more important that you design yourself. Are you going to be a designer who will have certain values? Will you have a certain philosophy? Would you belong to a certain gharana? Would you be a strong man, both physically and mentally? He emphasizes on designing a structure first, which is called me. So that is how he would say that first you design yourself before you start designing spaces or beautiful things for other people. Next thing he would very clearly emphasize is that like, do not be a tourist, be a traveler. Friends, it's in the travels that we come across like beautiful moments of ecstasy. We meet fantastic people. We come across instances that kind of inspire us. So he used to be an avid traveler. He would just go and then start traveling without having an agenda back in those days. In fact, he traveled all the way from Paris to New Delhi by bicycle and on surface. Back in those days, crossing Afghanistan, the Khyber Pass, the Bolan Pass, over Afghanistan, over like Pakistan, Turkey, and all that things. So this was possible, but today probably, you're very likely to be killed. Please don't try this one. So as a traveler, he used to come across human beings and human experiences that became part and parcel of his design ethos. Then in 1993, I came into the picture. I was a young medical student at Armed Forces Medical College. I met him. I was inspired by him. And I said, like, this is the man I want to kind of follow for the rest of my life. And then we started CCBA Designs together. With me not having any background in design or architecture, I just said, like, whatever you do, I would rather be part of that. So I dropped out of that, and then we started this company called CCBA Design. To our great luck, our first project was with the House of Mahindras, Mahindra United World College. Sudhir's son went there, my namesake Ram. It's a beautiful college. We completely broke out of the box of thinking how a school should be. Until then, the schools were designed as if they were either L-shaped or U-shaped or like linear. This is a school which truly represents Maharashtra. It truly represents a hamlet or a wada or a wadi of Maharashtra. In fact, that particular international school gave us so much of like flight into our journey of profession. It won us many international awards. I mean, like, from that day till today, that's almost 30 years CCBA, I think we've been able to do fantastic designs, and we've been able to break out of the box and invent new ways of looking at like what architecture can do to rhyme with the idea of empowering, what Sudhir has said in his brief about this conference. Architecture must empower, architecture must build communities, and architecture must look at the future, of course, by learning from the past. So in all our practice, we have been able to kind of pick up what is good from the past, apply it to the present, and build the future communities. Next. So we would travel, we would go on sites, we would have like fantastic, because when we are doing architecture projects, these run for sometimes 10 years, 15 years, because we are working on like very large projects like universities and communities, where the things kind of keep on evolving as the projects are presented with their kind of manifestations. He is a great man who would connect with a person who is doing his masonry work to a client who's actually putting in billions of dollars. See, when you can kind of touch people at that spectrum, from the poorest man on the side to the richest man on the things, you're not looking at like greatness. You're looking at like one single principle, which is called goodness. Friends, it's my humble request that let us all try to be good people than great people. And he could connect with children, to people who are from like the other classes, or people who are from the elite background, everywhere. Next slide, please. Is that a video?
Architecture is solving problems. The Burj Khalifa doesn't solve any problem at all. We don't need the Khalifa. What does it do? It's just the tallest building in the world, no? You get my point. There's a lot of what I call lipstick architecture. In India, we're trying to solve problems, not create problems.
So, friends, the idea of putting this one was very clear. He did not shy away from being vocal. I think he said, Ram, now I'm 65 plus, what do I lose? I lose nothing. I think designers must be vocal. They must express their values. They must stick onto a philosophy. It just can't be a lip service. We must stand for something. That is when the society is transformed. And Christopher always stood by the principles. And that is one of the things which is very difficult in a country like ours, which is very much like, divided between so many factors like politics, by religions, by, education. This is the Mahindra United World College. I'm just quickly running through the presentation of all the projects that we have done. Some of them, this is in Mulshi. You could see that this has been built in a very vernacular, very, it looks chaotic, but it is very organized chaos. The basalt stone and the whole idea of the college, which is a residential college for like 56 nationalities who come and live there and study there at an international baccalaureate course. Next one, please. Now, this is, every time that Christopher did or CCBA did anything, we always question, like, what is that like we can bring in? Now, this project was built in 2001. It's a naval academy, and as you could see, we could actually incorporate solar panels as part of the facade. Back in those days, we didn't even have solar panels in India. 2001, I'm talking about. We had to import this Tata BP panels from Holland to insert as power generators. Now everybody talks about these things, but as you could see, like we were way ahead in our way of thinking, like how do we kind of bring in sustainability in even at the learning spaces. Next one, please. Now, that is Suzlon One Earth. Many of you know Suzlon has broken many barriers of what an office building should look like. In the times when IT buildings were coming up, in the times when all these glass buildings which were coming up in India, mimicking what would have been the buildings in the West, where it is designed for cold season, we were aimlessly copying or mimicking what was being built over there. Then we had a client, Tulsi Tanti, who's also no more with us. He came to us and he said, like, Christopher, design a building that is Indian, but at the same time modern. So Suzlon came into existence. It is a very beautiful campus, and then at its time, it was the world's largest green building, which had 2 certifications, green, platinum green rated building, as well as GRIHA 5-star rating, which is very difficult to get. And not only that, this was the country's first net zero building. That means there is no energy consumption. Then we went into Bhutan. We were in Bhutan for almost like 15 years. Now the story of travel comes into picture. This man was the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Jigme Tinle. In fact, he was a proponent of the gross national happiness, which many of you would have known. So he was a young man doing an apprenticeship with Christopher when he was in his 20s. Later on, to his good luck, he became the Prime Minister. And the first thing, guess what he did? He called Christopher and said, like, I want you to design the capital city of our country. So that's how we became very lucky in going to Bhutan and building. And the way we built in Bhutan was very contextual, because Bhutan is a very protected environment. They have a Bhutanese and Himalayan kind of architecture. We were not plunking in glass buildings over there. We were respecting the context over there. Next one, please. This is Lodha Belmondo. Many of you would know it actually on the outskirts of Pune or at the junction of the expressway. Sudhir actually lives over there. It's a beautiful building. When these buildings were were brought to us, we never worked with a developer, but when we thought about, like, why don't we create a river community? Why don't we create a high-rise community? And we were very inspired. The same year, we were actually traveling in San Gimignano, which is in Tuscany. And we saw these like tall towers, how they were like perched over a hill, and they were like kind of very beautifully, visually appealing. And then we thought, like, why don't we actually build all the buildings in Lodha Belmondo using a vertical element, which becomes a connector and a unifier for all the buildings. No one can make out which is a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK or a penthouse in all these buildings. Next one. This is the Bajaj Institute of Technology in Wardha for the Bajaj family. Next one. This is a project we did in Shanghai, China. Next one. I'm running fast because I have very little time. So this is the Ajim Premji University, which is in Bangalore. We just recently finished it. Next one. This is the world's tallest tower. Go back. This is the world's tallest hostel building, 40 stories tall. There are about like 40 floors, and each floor has 40 rooms. So altogether, about like 3 to 4 students to go over there. The concept of hostel completely changed with this tall building. Next one, please. This is the lecture hall complex in IIT Hyderabad. Next one. So, friends, India is a very young country. Our average age is 27. We have a lot of youngsters who come and work with us, who come to our office to look at our work and get inspired. I'm very happy that I live in an India which is very progressive, and I also have an innate understanding that, like, my country, India, is in the right hands. At the age of 27, with most of my countrymen, I feel that, like, I'm blessed that I can see a future which is going to be glorious. Next one. Now, the last point, he is a voracious reader. He believes in reading. Reading helps in like opening up a whole new world to us. He has written many books. Once he was traveling to Mizoram at the end of India, at the east of India, almost towards the periphery on the bordering of Burma, he sees a sign. It says, "You have come so far away. Leave something good or bad. And these are the books that he left for us for eternity. Next one. Banaras. Banaras draws inspiration for all of us. When he came to India, he came to Banaras. He was inspired. He was inspired by the continuity of the history in this particular city. History is continuous. We must read history. We must draw inspiration. We should build our future based on the history. Take something which is good from the history, apply it to the present, and leap into the future forward. He rests peacefully in the ghats of Banaras as he wanted. Next one, please. This is my team. I'm reading a book by Ocean Young. Ocean Young is a very young writer from Vietnam. He wrote a book called We Are Just Briefly Gorgeous on This Earth. All my gorgeous men and women, let's make a difference. Thank you very much.